You're watching Two Button Crew,
the daily show for Nintendo fans.
What are you trying to do? Compare tans? I'm Scott.
No, I'm Simeon. I'm the pale one, and you are the not quite as pale one.
There's some crazy stuff going down.
Yes, there is.
Alternatively, yep. People are data mining the Wii U eShop.
Mining that data.
I don't know how to do it. Andre at Game Explain, he found the icon for Twilight Princess in the Wii U eShop.
Ooh.
Thought maybe we're getting a port. Well, recent reports have shown actual text strings that say Twilight Princess HD. There's other potential remakes or ports coming to the Wii U eShop. It's just a great time to speculate and to debate for which Zelda game Nintendo should remake next.
Yes, so we will each be debating for a game. Scott, you have Zelda 2.
I have selected The Adventure of Link.
And I have selected Twilight Princess. Now, I selected this. We planned this episode before we found this out. In fact, I chose my...
We plan ahead, yo.
Yeah, I chose my pick, Twilight Princess, like a day before I found out about this stuff.
Like before it was cool.
Before it was cool. So, when you're watching this, realize that this isn't just me hopping on a bandwagon. I pretty much said this was a good idea before everybody found out about it.
You are the bandwagon.
I am the bandwagon.
And I'm kind of like the anti-bandwagon. I don't think anybody's ever argued for Zelda 2 Adventure of Link before.
I think there's reasons for that.
But here I go.
All right, go for it. Why don't you start us off?
So Zelda 2 was originally released in 87. The 87 of 19.
Yes.
Less than 1 year after Legend of Zelda came out, which is insane. The Zelda series has now become 5 years apart from main console entries or something, but back in the day, they were pumping them out.
Yes.
It's the only direct sequel to The Legend of Zelda, which makes this game special. Every other Zelda game has either been a prequel to the NES original, or it's taken place in an alternate dimension.
That's true.
So this is an important piece of storyline. Also, the game is very unique. It focuses on side-scrolling gameplay. It incorporates some RPG elements, and you can gain experience points. You have a set number of lives, which hasn't shown up in a Zelda since. So it's an experience that you can only have right now on the original NES game, which isn't extremely popular. But the game does have some merits. They introduced Dark Link. So Dark Link has continued to show up throughout the series, but the origins of this character take place in Zelda 2.
Truth.
Also, I'm thinking that Zelda 2 is probably the Zelda game that has been experienced the least. Not that it was a failure at launch. It actually was sold decent. But everybody has fond memories of Ocarina of Time, Link to the Past.
Even the original.
Mm-hmm. But people just kind of aren't touching this game because of how different it is. And in my opinion, that's a shame. So, I think that Nintendo should remake it for that reason, and also because of everything that's unique about it. RPGs are very hot right now, like the Dark Souls series. Those all have RPG elements, and they're very popular.
That's true.
There is even a resurgence in interest in this type of game. For example, Adventure Time. Hey, Ice King, why did you steal our garbage? I think. What a dumb name. Is a game in the style of Zelda 2, specifically for Zelda 2 fans, made for that niche. So the niche exists, and the niche loved this Adventure Time game. I don't think Zelda 2 ages well visually.
No.
So a lot of sprite artwork is pleasant to look at, and the NES has made a lot of iconic characters and artwork through the 8 bits that it was limited to. But I don't think that all the characters, I don't even think, like Link, pretty ugly in that game. So they should get a redesign. He should be either HD or 3D. I don't mind. But it would really do a lot to help the game's presentation. Also,
still side-scrolling though.
yes.
Okay.
Also, I think that modern take on this game could tone the difficulty down a bit. Zelda games nowadays are pretty good, and sometimes too good, at holding your hand to make sure you know at least where to go next. And I, for one, appreciate at least knowing where to go next. Mm-hmm. So if they could help me with that, I would get farther in Zelda 2, because as it is, I barely played it, but I would love to play a remake.
All right, so that's your pitch.
What do you think?
I think there are some issues. I think you kind of even pointed out some of those issues with it kind of being a niche game. Mm-hmm. Like, not very many people have played it, which doesn't mean that it's bad, but I don't know. Like, after playing that and then playing even the original, like, there's no comparison. Like, if you were to put any Legend of Zelda game in front of me, that is actually probably the last game I would pick.
Yeah.
I would pick the CDI games in front of that just for the fact that to say that I've played this really terrible game and it made me laugh. So, like, if it was remade, if they made those improvements, it might be cool, but I think
It might be cool.
It might be cool.
I would love it if they improved what they needed to and it got some attention that it deserves as a Zelda title. Not saying it's a good Zelda game.
Right. To me, I don't know. Like, I think the adventure aspect of Legend of Zelda is so great already. To take that back and make a platformer out of it / RPG, I don't know if that works for me.
Well, let's hear about some toilet paper.
Toilet paper, yes. Twilight Princess. It was released back in 2006. It's hard to imagine that it's been almost 10 years already. I mean, it's been almost 9 years already since it was released on the Wii first.
It's insane.
And as a swan song to the GameCube. So we already have 2 versions of it, but it's been almost 10 years, which is crazy to think of. It had the darkest tone in pretty much the whole series. I think you can look at most of the games in the series and say, hey, this is pretty lighthearted or cartoony or bright.
Except for maybe Majora's Mask.
Except for maybe Majora's Mask, which is a little bit darker in tone, but still has a lot of those lighter themes, whereas Twilight Princess really hardly has anything except for maybe creepy clown people, which I don't know if you can count that as a bright theme or whatever. So it has a unique tone that would be interesting to see redone and to see come back. It has the best items in the series. I think we've already talked about that.
Yeah.
It had, and at least in the Wii version, which I think most people played the Wii version above the GameCube version. I think
they
more people.
Wait.
Yeah, I don't think they could wait. And second of all, I think that it was the new thing. Whereas if it was on the GameCube, the GameCube's already old news. I think more people, like, if they played versions side by side, they like the GameCube version better.
Yeah.
But how much better to bring it back and have it not waggle controls, because I think that's one of the main things that turned people off is the waggle controls were weird.
You got this serious dark game with very intimidating imposing enemies and stuff,
and you're going like this.
Exactly.
So
and your arm just gets
get rid of that. It would really benefit from the Wii U controls, I think, from the gamepad with the items, and even with maybe using like the Hawkeye or whatever, like sniping in on somebody. I say this game needs some new stuff, though. First of all, you need to change Zant. Zant's unmasking was probably one of the most anticlimactic things in the Legend of Zelda game, because Zant was super imposing, and then you see his face, and he's...
I would just keep the mask on the whole time. He was a great enemy.
Great enemy, but just looked kind of doofy.
Yeah.
So, redesign Zant a little bit.
I was like, okay, Japan.
Yeah.
You had something good.
Yeah. And they ruined it. I say add in the crossbow from Link's crossbow training. I think that would be a fun item to an already great item cast. So instead of, people really like the bomb arrows, they like, pretty much everything else.
Yeah.
Add in the crossbow, because, Link's crossbow training came out a year afterwards.
Ooh,
I say
remake bundle.
Yeah, remake bundle maybe. But add in the crossbow to the main
I'm not arguing
series. Yes, exactly. And then I say add in a new secret dungeon that takes place on the moon. and
What?
it has enemies, yes, on the moon.
Why?
Because the last dungeon in Majora's Mask is on the moon. Take place on the moon and have enemies because it's a sequel to Majora's Mask. Twilight Princess is a sequel to Majora's Mask. So you have a lot of the same elements. You have Skull Kid and all that stuff. So have it take place on the moon, the last dungeon or the secret dungeon, and then you go through enemies based on the mask salesman, little children people, and the masks have the enemies based on them, and the bosses, several bosses based on especially the transformation masks. And you get the bunny hood as a reward for completing it so that you can run around as fast as you can.
You've really thought this one through.
I have indeed. And I think that this one should be remade because it's been almost 10 years. I think it's time to remake it. It's not like it's super recent. It's not like I'm saying we need to remake Skyward Sword.
Well, when the history only goes back 25 years, then
yes. Yeah. I mean, it's
a surprisingly long time.
Yeah. And also, it was a great game. It was a fantastic game. It just needed a little tweaking and a little bit of remaking. So
nice.
That's my argument for it. What do you think?
Well, I know you've thought all this through, and you basically want it to be Majora's Mask because that's your favorite game. But everyone's expecting Twilight Princess. Nintendo's got to do something bold and surprising. They got to remake a game that no one's asking for.
Well, that may be true, but I think if you're talking about something that is abnormal from the series, but not like a completely different series like Zelda 2 is, then you're going to want a remake of something like Twilight Princess where it was a unique feel to the series, but it didn't deviate too far from the gameplay. Because I think that, if anything, they want the gameplay of The Legend of Zelda more than anything else.
Well, so, I think that the commenters are going to have to solve this one for us.
Yes.
Who's right, and which game do you think Nintendo should remake from the Zelda series?
If you had a different opinion than either of us, please let that be known. So don't forget to like, to comment, to subscribe, and most of all, to share with a friend if you did like what you saw.
Come on, guys, let's grow the crew.
Yes.
Let's get them in here. Let's all have fun together.
And buy t-shirts.
Yes, and we'll all look the same.
Hopefully we won't all look the same. I think that'd be a little bit creepy.
See you next time.
Signing out.